Hi everyone, I'm going to share these fun fall pumpkin place cards that you can make for an autumn themed dinner, party, can be Halloween, even Thanksgiving. So let's take a look. I have a few different versions and I'll show you what you need. First of all, I have watercolor paper. I'm using Canson. It's 140 pounds, but you can use probably a variety of watercolor paper. Smoother is better, but not necessarily. And I have a paper trimmer. I'm using my old Fiskars. I have a ruler, scissors, a water brush, and I have the Calligraphy aqua brushes. That will be for our watercolor part of the pumpkin. And I also have the Calligraphy black fine liners. The last kit I do recommend that is great for all kinds of projects is the deluxe lettering kit, and in it you have a ruler, pencil, eraser, which I'll be using, fine liners, which I'll be using today, black brush pens. I'll show you a version you can use these, and the dream pens. So this is really handy for all kinds of projects, and it comes in that nice pen roll also. So what you need to do first is grab a piece of your watercolor paper, and you can cut this into different dimensions. I am going to use, I kind of fooled around with a couple of different sizes, but I am going to actually work with 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 wide and 5 1/4 long. Now, like I said, you can fool around with the length. I want to show you why it is this long, because my pumpkin is fairly high, but also I am going to create a fold on the bottom. So it's not going to stand up like a tent. It is going to stand up like this on the table with that fold. So I fooled around with different sizes of folds. This one was a little small. This one was a little big, like Goldilocks. This one was just right. So let us, I'll show you what to do with that fold now. In terms of centimeters, so again, I said I'll put the measurements up there, but it's about 13 centimeters by 10 centimeters or 9.5, but I'll put the measurements up on the screen. And then to get this fold, this watercolor paper is very stiff and thick, so we're not going to fold it with just a fold. We have to actually score the paper. So at about 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches, I am going to put, or 1 1/4, let's do that. I'm going to put a score line by lightly running the blade, okay? I'm not pushing down, I'm not going through the paper. I am lightly running it across so that I can then bend it nicely without it breaking the rest of the paper. All right, now what do we do next? I'm gonna put this away. And we are going to grab our pencil. I will take my pencil out of the deluxe lettering kit and fine liner. On the deluxe lettering kit, you have a 0.8 and a 0.5 fine liner. This ruler, I'm going to use my metal ruler actually. It doesn't really matter, but I will not use a pencil at the beginning, but I'll just show you what you can do with your pencil. So we're going to do this version first. That's the easiest one with the 2 lines across. And then at the end of the video, I will show you how to make this banner. It's just a different variation of this. It's really simple to do. So if we look to see where those lines are, I actually don't do a lot in pencil first. I work with, mostly because of time, I don't like to erase all the time, so I work with a fine liner. But you can do all of this with a pencil first. So I'm going to see where I put this line, about there, and how high up is that? That is about an 1.5 to about 4 centimeters high up there. So that is going to be the top line here. I will go now, leave my pencil there. I'm going to go straight to my fine liner because, like I said, I don't like to fool around. And this is in this set of 6, you have 6 different sizes of fine liners from 0.05 all the way to 1.0 millimeters. So I will choose, I think I'm going to choose the 0.05. Now this is also in your deluxe lettering kit, so you can use that as well. Now, what's important to know is we're going to add water, so you do want something that is waterproof, and these pens are. I use them with watercolor all the time. So I am going to find that line there and kind of eyeball it and do the double line across here. There's one line and there is 2 lines. And then I'll do that again. So that's where I will write my name, 1 and 2. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to draw the pumpkin. And there's a really easy way to do this. I'll just put this beside. You can start out with, I want you to start out with drawing this oval in the center. Do you see that oval? You have an entire oval. Well, there's the top and there's the bottom, but it's actually a whole, think of it as a whole oval. All right, so let us put that in the center. If you want to measure where your center is, you can, but I don't do that actually. I'm a big eyeballer. So I'll do that oval, and I don't care if it's straight or not because I think it gives the pumpkin more character if it's not straight. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next half oval here, part of it, and connect it to there. And then I will do this one. And the only thing you want to do is you want to make sure you kind of continue the line. If you pretend you're drawing the line, that's why a pencil is helpful, if you use a pencil. And then I'm going to go to this side and do the exact same thing. 1 and 2, where it continues, and 3, and, oh, that looks a little bit weird. 4. That's not too bad. Oh well. That's why your pencil comes in handy. Next, we are going to draw the stem, just this hook shape. So I'm going to start at the top of the pumpkin, and I'm going to go up like this. And you can make this as big as you like. And you can also draw it with a pencil. And then I'm going to add these 2 humps, these 2 bumps in the back. So you get that dimensional look for your pumpkin. So here's 1 and 2. Now this guy looks a bit lopsided, but you know what? Pumpkins don't have to be perfect, right? And handmade is not necessarily perfect. Now what I also did, which you might not be able to see, is I drew, maybe on this one you can see, I drew little lines inside the stem because I wanted the stem to kind of have that texture look of a stem, and you don't have to be perfect. You can just scribble in these lines and doodle them in. They don't have to be straight. So just like that. And then you have some texture there right away. All right. So I am going to actually, let me just think what I'm going to do. Okay, now comes the watercolor part. So I'm going to grab the aqua brushes. So the aqua brushes you can use with or without water. And so those of you who are afraid of watercolor or don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You can just color your pumpkin with the aqua brushes. So the aqua brushes, I'm not sure if you realize this, but they are a real bristle brush. So look here, you can see it. See how it's a real bristle brush? And I want a lot of color, so I'm going to actually cover most of this pumpkin. And this is why it's important you have watercolor paper, because you're adding water. If you didn't, you could just use regular cardstock. But I find that the aqua brushes colors move nicely on the watercolor paper. So I don't have to fill it in evenly because I am going to be adding water. And I'm also, you can see it's a nice orangey yellow. So you could actually just leave it like this. But I am going to add my red. Now, every watercolor paper is a little bit different, so you want to always swatch these out first on a separate piece. Now, that means you take a piece of watercolor paper and you put your aqua brush on here and you add water and you see how it moves. And I know the red moves quite well, the brown a little less so. I'm going to work fairly quickly because of the drying time with this paper. Every watercolor paper is different. So I'm just grabbing my water with my water brush. If you can squeeze it out of your water brush, but my water brush is empty. So I actually like to use to dip into water. And I'm adding quite a bit of water. I'm getting the aqua brush colors, the ink colors, watercolor moving. And if I wait too long, the colors won't move that well. If you go, you see I went outside the lines a bit. It doesn't matter because it is watercolor, so it's very, you know, in terms of your watercolor pieces, finished pieces, it's very forgiving if you do make a mistake and go outside the lines. It just looks like it's part of the style. So you can see that you have some really nice tones coming out there by adding the red. So I'm going to do that at the bottom as well. And pick up my water, and then, like I said, I want to work quickly with this, the red and the yellow, so they don't dry and suck into the paper and stop moving. So this is why swatching is important. There. All right, that looks good enough. Isn't that pretty easy? I think so. And if you have little white spots, it actually doesn't matter because that's the beauty of watercolor. It's imperfect. Now what I'm going to do is I want to create some more dimension and texture. So I'm going to work with the brown in the stem and bring it into this, the area. I'm going to put this beside so you know what I'm talking about. Oh, this pumpkin is huge. I'm going to put it, bring it down, pull it down from the stem into the pumpkin itself. So I'm going to add a lot of pigment here, and maybe not as much at the top, but a lot at the bottom. So then I take my water brush and I add the water here and I pull it down and bring the brown into the pumpkin down here. Now, if you don't like the brown, you just want your pumpkin to be nice, a nice yellowy orange color, you can do that too. I actually like I say, I like the dimension and texture the brown adds to the pumpkin. And you can see I'm kind of blending in the edges of the brown so it doesn't look so dark, but some people actually have a very dark contrasting line with their watercolor here in these areas, and I personally like to soften it up. So you can already see how easy it is to create that dimension and texture by adding the darker brown color. And now I'm just going into the top of the stem to spread out the pigment, the watercolor ink that I added up there. And then I have that really nice two-tone effect in there. So to add it to the bottom, I could do a couple of things. I could dip this in water. Did you know you can dip your water, your aqua brushes in water? So I'm going to do that, but remember, I want to soften up those lines. So I'm going to come in with my water brush and kind of spread that brown, and so it's not so, you can see there's a lot of pigment, maybe too much brown pigment there. So you can't see the line of the brown, there's just a hint of it. And if you want, you could actually, like I said, not even use water. You could just add your brown directly and not have any lightening at all. You could just add it directly so it's much, much darker. And that is simply how simple it is to get that pumpkin. I whipped these up for Thanksgiving dinner here in Canada. It was on the weekend in October, early October. That's when our Thanksgiving is. So if I was to leave this, let's talk about the name now. If I was to leave the name white, I could use a brush pen that is water-based. I would use, for my deluxe lettering kit, I would use this fine tip, my black Midnight fine tip brush pen, because that would be the right size to write that name. Or you could use stamps or your own handwriting. I did faux calligraphy here. And if you're adding water, you do want to use a permanent pen like this fine liner and do faux calligraphy. Otherwise, the brush pen will bleed. And that happened to me in another video I did. So let me just write the name Matthew with the brush pen, and I won't paint this. So if you're afraid of using your brush lettering on a project like this, then you know what? Then don't. But honestly, I think your family would really enjoy seeing your own script on the on anything you make, and that's what makes it uniquely yours. So I have the fold going on, and the last thing I did is I actually cut out this pumpkin to just give it more interest. Like, you don't have to, you could actually leave it like this, but I'm going to cut it out. And I'll fast forward it so you don't have to watch me cut this. There you go. I didn't cut out this part because I actually find it a little bit tricky, but you can definitely do that, and I just didn't want to take the time to do that. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is this alternative banner, and I'll show you how easy it is to make with the pumpkin again. So I have my my card. This one looks really long. Did I not cut this? Or is this the right size? No, that's way too long. Okay, let me get my trimmer. And I will trim this. I'm going to do kind of make it a guess. Oops. Let me just move this out. And I will trim this, and there, that looks good. Approximately. And, oh, I forgot to score it. So I'll score it right about there. And I like the score line as a guideline, just so I know where it's going to fall. So I'm not going to do the whole pumpkin again, but I am going to show you how to make this banner. So I am going to use my pencil and find the top of the banner is about there. That was a good shot. And I'm going to draw just the single lines for that banner. And again, you can do everything in pencil, but I tend to like my shortcuts, so that's what I do. And now we're going to draw this part of the banner that goes around the pumpkin. So we are going to go like this far from the edge, approximately. Like I said, I'm a big eyeballer, and draw this hook with the line. And if I wasn't doing this video, I would actually, and then draw the line down, across, and round your corner and come up. I wouldn't even do this with a pencil. I would just do it with my fine liner, because that's the way I operate. Okay, I'm gonna grab a different fine liner, one that's a bit thicker, the 1.0, just because you can see it more clearly. And here. Oh, this is the exact opposite of what I wanted. That wasn't the 1.0. That is 0.1. There. This one's much better. So let's, I'm going to draw this hook like that, and then come down, curve, and come up. And you see how I drew in one fluid line? That's what you have to do. So this hook, without starting and stopping, do this. Be confident about your lines. This line is one. So you don't have any breaks. It makes it much smoother. And now, do you remember how we drew the pumpkin? We started with that middle oval. So I'll do that again. And again, I'm not going to use my pencil. I'm going to freehand it. I can tell this pumpkin's a little bit bigger, smaller. And I'm going to go to this side and touch. You see where I touched that? Right there. And then I'm going to come underneath, pretend where the pumpkin continues, and draw that. Now I'm going to go on this side and do my other two ovals. And here I'm going to touch that hook, come to the end, and if you miss it, you can actually draw it in. And then do that. Wow, that one went well, better than the first one. Okay, and then of course you can do your stem and do your lines of your stem. See, I fixed that stem because I didn't like the way it looked when I did my line. And then we can do this bump and this bump, like that. All right, so now I'm going to add the ends, create that dimensional look of this banner going to the back of the pumpkin, and I'm going to create just these ends right there. All right, so I'm going to go above the banner. I'll just put this as your reference point here. So I'm going to go above this banner to there on the pumpkin, and I want it to be approximately as wide as that. So you can use your pencil, but I'm not going to. Like that. So you can see this width is the same as that width. So let's do that here. And often I just mess it up, but because it's supposed to be whimsical, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, let's say this banner I'm going to watercolor, so I will write, my daughter's name. And because I'm going to add watercolor, remember, I'm not going to use my brush pen because it's water-based, and it'll just run. I should have used a smaller fine liner for this faux calligraphy because this one, number 1, is a bit thick. But you'll see, you'll get what I'm doing anyways. There. And now I can add my watercolor in there, and I can add my aqua brush colors and color it up and have a really, really nice Thanksgiving card. So I hope this kind of inspires you to do some place cards for any autumn themed get together, and thanks for watching. See you next time.